How's it going, everyone? Happy 2020. Happy Friday. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about toxic work environments and the fallout within the Canada Governor General's office. And I also want to talk to you about getting in your feelings as a leader. So, hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Anthony Taylor from SME Strategy. We help leadership teams create and execute their strategic plans and support them through the process of cascading their plans, getting their team involved and bought into the strategy. And today I wanted to highlight some news that happened in the Governor General's office. So I'm going to bring this up today. So Governor General Julie Payette resigned because there was a toxic work environment where staff members were bullied into tears. And then apparently this is not like new. This has been happening for a long time. Some people called it out as, abusive, disrespectful, arrogant behavior will no longer be tolerated in the workplace. And then apparently that's like what was happening is they were embracing and supporting this high functioning culture. The culture was toxic. So why I wanted to highlight it today is that it happens in so many organizations, and that in this case, it was the leader that stepped down because the things had become public, and because it's a public organization, it's the government, that, it had a lot of oversight and a lot of communication and a lot of covering news had come out of it, and people were actually paying attention to it. Now, in your organization, that toxic work environment, probably nobody's going to call you on it, especially if you're the boss. What will happen is that people will leave and staff will leave and they will quit managers. And why I think it's especially relevant now in 2021 is because not only do you have like the internal environment that you've created within your organization, but you have everything else going on that has disrupted sort of how you're executing culture generally, as in you have all of the COVID things. You've got everybody working from home. They have, health crises. You have like people like sick and tired, and they have like kids in the school. And so as a leader, you need to manage within that. So your ability to be an effective leader in this time is especially critical. And those like high performing cultures, low performing cultures are going to get amplified. So if you were having challenges in 2019 and in early 2020, those things are probably coming to a head right now. And in this case, with this government organization, that's the case. And of course, because it was sort of public, people left. If it was a sports organization, I'm a Bears fan, for those of you that know. And, there's a lot of stuff coming out talking about how poorly they're doing and the sort of the culture reflection of what is the culturization and how does that get created and fostered at the top end. So one of the things you'll want to look at is, what is the culture that you have currently, assess it, and then like some warning signs are that if people are leaving, that you've probably got some challenges there. So that's one piece I wanted to highlight. I wanted to also look at it on the other side. And what I thought about it this morning was like getting in your feelings as a leader, is that as a leader in these times, you have to be even more effective at recognizing that there are all of these layers that you have to lead through. Like you have to lead yourself, and like for all of us in this like world of COVID, it's to try to like lead people and be effective. And so I've seen a lot of leaders be internally challenged to say, hey, first I need to lead myself, which is hard enough. Now I have to lead my team. And now I have to lead my team in these, these tough times. And so what I look at, what I see is being just really aware of where your mindset is at, and like being in your feelings as to how you're leading people, and taking the opportunity to really like refocus, get that concentration back. And sort of sometimes you got to put your cards on the table in terms of how you're feeling. If you're feeling like garbage, and if you're feeling like it's a hard time, sometimes it's useful to actually have somebody else to reflect on. I was talking to somebody today who is a highly effective leader, has years of experience leading teams, and was just like dealing with one of those periods of burnout. And, ahead of the conversation they had with their team, said, hey, like you just got to recognize that the environment that you were in leading people 5 years ago, 10 years ago is not the same as it is right now. And adapting your leadership style to right now, whether that's more empathy, whether that's more recognition, might be required. On the flip side, I also see leaders being more assertive, as in if I was lost in the woods, I'd want somebody to like lead me out of it. And so there is a time and place for a certain type of leadership. And I think it's important that you recognize and check yourself throughout the process. This person that we have here, the Governor General, she just, it went unchecked. They were allowed to continue for so long because there was progress being made. There was high performance happening, and then there became a rift between high performance and low performance. And that like negative, toxic, challenging thing can be actually useful at times. Like sometimes you need to lead like command and control. But just like if you run a car, like redlining it for hours and hours, something's going to break and it's not going to work for everybody. So as you go through the process of developing your leadership, as you go through the process of developing your team, like check yourself, check where your feelings are at, check where your people are at, and be really aware of, are you developing an aligned and cohesive team? Is your leadership style effective, or are you like banging against a wall? I saw another New York Times article recently, just a last little bit, was around that boss from, what's that movie with John Cusack where they like try to quit? And he was like, yeah, if you could get that done by Friday, that'd be great. Is like there is going to be a changing of the guard in terms of what are required of leaders. It's becoming more and more public through Glassdoor, through social media, in terms of how you lead. So if you're young, if you're old, if you're somewhere in the middle, recognize that you got to match your leadership for how people want to be led. That's what makes effective leaders. You can come in and you can decide how you're going to lead. But I think it's also like the opportunity to be led by your people and like co-lead, work together, are the people that I see most effective. They get the most done and they have the most enjoyable time doing it. Now, it's not always going to be rosy, but you sort of want to, you want to avoid getting it to a point where people call for your resignation. And if it never comes to that point, people are leaving and you're not going to get the message. So be aware of that as we get into leading through the year. Recognize that people are more and more tired and have more and more challenges throughout the year. And as you move forward, recognize that people are moving into this space where there's like an expectation. There's a continuous expectation about a lot of things happening, and that those expectations might not come to fruition as fast as they'd like. And I'm going to talk to you about that in our next week's session. So I hope that helps you develop your leadership, recognize when you need to check yourself as you lead people, and learn from the challenges of those that get kicked out of their jobs. Lead the people, sometimes lead them how they need to be led, and work together with your people to co-create that future. So my name's Anthony Taylor. I hope you enjoyed today's live stream on toxic cultures and getting in your feelings as a leader. And if you're looking for somebody to support you in that culture transformation and that change management, be sure to reach out to us, smestrategy.net, and we can support you through the creation of your strategic plan and moving it forward so people align with it. Love to hear what your thoughts are on this, if you've seen it in your own organization, if you have different experience, and we will catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.